I did say off the recording that I do think it's quite beneficial in this whole boycott America that they've been making really shit film and TV for so long.
It's going to be
quite easy just to stop watching their stuff because, man, Hollywood has fallen on its fucking arse real bad.
Really bad for the American candy shops that have inexplicably popped up fucking everywhere. They sell Twinkies and all that.
Oh yeah, aye. When you're up in
Can I come to them?
Also just hack scams.
Yeah, but it's okay. They're just money laundering fronts. So it's our fire gods. They'll carry on.
perfect cover of this first.
They'll carry on putting the cash through, and they'll just burn the Twinkies.
So I have a real theory, and I really think that there's something to this. I think that the Build-A-Bear factory is a money laundering front. Because there's no fucking way. At one point there was 2 of them in Buchanan Galleries. Never see any crink go in. The beers are expensive as fuck. Also, the perfect way to smuggle contraband is to stuff it inside an empty bear skin, sew it up, unsew it, take it out, have kids stuff the evidence, put a wee heart in it and take it home, never to be seen again. I think it's a front.
Do you think it's the CIA?
I don't know. I think it's some very clever drug runner. But it could possibly be the CIA.
I mean, the two are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, but I'm convinced. But it was during COVID, and I was one of the only people out and about because I worked in a pharmacy, and the place was a ghost town. Fucking Build-A-Bear factories open, and I was like, oh, I knew there was something to this. This theory has legs.
Yeah, was they still open?
Exactly what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I didn't go into town at all during that period. I can still remember, actually, I have fucking no idea how long into it was, but this is the first time I went back into Glasgow city centre, and it was actually a bit like, fuck.
Is that
It's really
because
28 days later.
you could order beers remotely, so they would still have to puff them up?
No, it's because they had a heroin trade to...
Yeah, you're right.
I've been saying it for years.
Make it a TV show.
It's like institution.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Maybe cut this out in case I get taken.
Yeah, it's that like
Okay, unnamed shop that has empty beer skins.
I don't.
Like that pass legally.
I'll leave it in because I don't like Build-A-Bear because they make you really uncomfortable.
But what if they sue me?
I went into Build-A-Bear and got you a Baby Yoda made up. Do you remember that?
I do.
And I'm like, obviously I'm there myself. I don't have any kids with me or anything like that. And you have to take the skin up to the chute to get done.
I've had small kids. I've done the Build-A-Bear thing.
The staff in the shop, regardless of how old you are, will talk to you like, do you want to give it a name? Do you want to put a wee heart in it?
Do you want to kiss
I
the
had
heart?
to. It must be like if the manager sees they're not doing that, they'll get told off. Some poor student girl had to like go through this ridiculous pantomime with me of all the different lines of dialogue they must be mandated to say, and I had to go, no, it's fine, just puff the beer.
This is why I love self-service checkout. I had to deal with people in this environment.
Yeah, it was awful. And I feel the Build-A-Bear feels like quite an American sort of an explorer actually as well. It feels quite kind of, that had that slightly kind of server at Disneyland interaction that I just find skin-crawlingly painful. Yeah. Just puff up the fucking bear and let me get out of this.
What do you want? There you are, fuck off.
Yeah, so I'll leave that bit in. So yeah, they probably are running drugs.
It's my conspiracy theory and I'm entitled to it. Listen to me, I'm trying to buy a house. It's a very inconvenient thing.
It was a good Baby Yoda though, to give them some level of backup for you.
Oh yeah, definitely still go there. They have really good stuff. Not sponsors. Just use code Donna at checkout for a free baggie. Okay.
Do you know how there was that story a while ago about the Chinese police, secret police, were running operations out of the back of Chinese restaurants in Sauchiehall Street. So maybe that's like the CIA's version of that. Maybe they're doing folk in through the back.
Turf Wars.
I don't know. I probably shouldn't name it because this is probably something more close to home. They could get sued. One of those places is meant to be one of those fronts. Apparently, there's really good food. I heard that. Someone was like recommending it, going like, I know it is like a run for like the Chinese mafia or whatever the fuck it is, but they make really decent food, so you should go to it.
I mean, it's never, you should never rule out the idea that really, really sort of fucking dull, tedious looking people might actually be spies. Did you hear the thing about the Russian spies who were just like in some guest house down in the south of England?
The Bulgarians.
One of the criteria to work for the intelligence services is you have to look unremarkable.
Yep, that's true. I'm the one that told you that.
possibly, but you look so unremarkable that it could have
Yeah,
been.
well, it was there was I can't remember the name of it, but it used to come around. An email used to come round. You could apply, and it was to go and work for the Sneaky Weeky stuff. And there was a guy that I knew that was in the RAF regiment. Al, I think I've talked about Al on this podcast before. This was the UFO episode. Al used to wake up with PTSD, screaming in the middle of the night when I was in Corsica. But he told me that he'd given it a go, but because he was like a really big, kind of obvious looking lad, that he was or poo-pooed, but that was part of the feedback, was they're looking for kind of guys of like, kind of 5'10", that kind of very average sort of height, very average look. I don't know
People you don't remember seeing.
British intelligence services tried to recruit me to do cybersecurity and sent me an email from a completely blank sender that I've never seen before. And they were like, do not disclose to anybody that we have contacted you. You may tell one family member as long as they were born in the UK. And I was like, fuck off, you contacted me, I'll do what I want. And that is what I've done, basically.
it sounded like
But I turned it down. But I regret it now, because if I had actually got in there and done some decent cybersecurity, maybe we wouldn't be in the situation we currently are. Maybe this is all my fault, because I turned it down because it was only 25 grand a year.
Aye. There was quite a rough audition process, it sounds, because he described to me these scenarios where it'd be like you'd be in a kind of like mock-up bar, and they had kind of actors like portraying people, and the idea is that you've got to go and talk to that person at the bar and extract this information out. And I think it was like their address or something like this, and Al had to go and do it, and Al fucked it up. But he did create this image in my head of like, that must be horrible, like having to be the person that's got to watch all these like really kind of dumb low rank Army, Navy, Air Force guys.
Christopher Steele, the guy that wrote the Steele report has the name. Yeah. I read his book; it's really good. But he talks about when he was sort of recruited to the British Secret Services, and how one of the training exercises is just that, but not with actors. You just fucking like go into that bar and chat to
I mean, it made actors up. He didn't actually specify. I don't know if it was a single lad at a bar. But
he said, every now and again, just for shits and giggles, he still goes and does it.
Yeah.
But it was from Christopher Steele. Is a completely innocuous looking.
I think it sounded like it was a kind of almost like over a weekend or something. It was only like a few days, and like everyone sort of, they put you up in the accommodation, and yeah, it was all these different like tests. But it just made me think of there must be like, out of that entire lot that you get to go down, there's probably 2 that are any good at any of this shit. But everybody probably would, well, not everybody, but so many guys that wanted to be like James Bond must go for that, and they're like, you're like dumb as pig shit. There's no way you can do any of this. So I just had this poor image of some guy with this clipboard just going, fucking hell, is this the best we fucking got? And this just kind of ties into what you're saying about how, because they don't fucking pay you very much, you'd be like, you can do this in the private sector and make a lot more money.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a problem too.
Because the job that I ended up in was like harder to, it had a lower acceptance rate than Harvard.
Yeah.
They were getting the best of the best. Obviously, they got me, the best of the best of the best of the best. But no, but like that's because they actually treat you well and pay you well. Whereas the people they have, the last line of defence that we have against Russian infiltration, aren't earning enough to rent a flat.
You read my mind about where I was going with this, which is it does invite the possibility of both of these stories, that maybe these aren't the best of the best. It's just like the least worst guys are now in charge of all that stuff. And maybe that's why we've been so easily done over by equally shitty Russians.
It's that scene at the beginning of in Men in Black, isn't it? Where that set the impossible task of you're trying to write a report and trying to fill in a form sort of thing, and Will Smith's character just fucking drags the table across and makes a show of himself. He dismisses all those. Thank you, gentlemen. You're everything we've come to expect. Military intelligence.
I just thought that the point of that. Am I wrong then? If I misread, because I always thought the point of that scene was the test was to see who's the first guy to move the table. Yeah. It is that point, isn't it? Yes, to see who thinks outside the box. I thought that was really funny and clever at the time as well, because it's like, they just get rid of all the military guys, and they're like, the random like street cop was the first one to deploy common sense to solve an obvious problem. So very much that. But it just kind of food for thought, because you'd imagine it'll be the same in the States, that it'll probably be like a similar kind of setup, over there potentially as well.
Plus now Elon Musk is fired all these highly qualified and brilliant people.
Yeah.
Because we're all investigating him.
And a lot of whom probably would have been Republicans,
Yeah.
you know, in the FBI and the CIA, you know, they've been purged. Even like your federal parks guys, basically you've fired like 100,000 groundsman Willie and what's the guy out of Parks and Rec? Ron Swanson. It's like people you really couldn't do with annoying them.
Yes,
These people are going to resent you for the rest of your life for that.
Yeah.
And they all voted you in. But the Yellowstone has like 2 rangers, like 2 park attendants for the whole of Yellowstone National Park.
They
Who left?
fires the people that had the keys for the toilets, and the tourists were arriving and they couldn't fucking.
And this is a place where they've got pools which are so acidic, if you fall in them, you will dissolve. This literally happens there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, what is Elon Musk to go to Yellowstone?
Yeah.
Just
That would be a suitable fate. We'll make mistakes, but we'll correct them immediately as he's descending into the acid.
like fucking Terminator.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm done with America. Well, in the conversational sense, all senses actually.
I would have liked to have gone, and I've never been, but I don't think I'm going to go now.
Yeah, I've been lots of times and I'm never going back. Decided that's it. Goodbye. Had your chance.
Yeah.
Had your empire.
Bye.
I wasn't enamored with it the first couple of times. When anyway, I don't think I would really. I did want to at one point go to the south, but out of a sort of morbid curiosity about how, right, is it as backward as it looks like it is? But now it just looks like, oh no, actually, you might kill me if I go there.
It's the thing that always stays with me, and again, I may have said this before, but as somebody making the point about just how, I mean, you mentioned how homogenous it is. You know, like you could drive for 4 hours and everybody would basically still sound the same and everything would pretty much look the same. Whereas in the UK, you know, if you drive for more than 45 minutes, bread rolls are called something different and it's a complete different accent. Hutcher.
Yeah. Because it does, it puts that in you. That's where that kind of inherent thing, I guess, comes from. That sort of like, all right, so how do you do things here then? How does it work? And you're sort of conditioned almost to sort of like adapt and move with that, you know. And because right across Europe, that's the way it's set up, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and strangely, and this is one of these things. So I've been guilty in my time of watching quite a lot of Judge Judy. I just it's a bad habit, but yeah, it's absolutely fucking hysterical stuff. I think it's one of those things. You go, Christ, they're so fucking weird. They're so fucking strange. But it's little things like they're all still fucking using checks, and they're all having to go somewhere once a month to pay their bills by check rather than having things on direct debit and stuff like that. And we sometimes deal with American companies, and they'll fucking send you a form and want you to fill all your credit card details in on the form. I'm like, are you high? No, that's not happening. Have you not got a fucking secure web form?
They've got one of the most antiquated banking systems on the planet. It's unbelievable.
Mental. I don't
They've all got these cash apps because they can't just use their bank. Like it's bizarre. That was a fairly recent revelation for me. Where I was just like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
No, but what do you mean? No, you can't just transfer money.
It's really, really strange.
No, I
isn't
just
it?
got chip and pin a few years ago. I know.
Yeah, they were still doing this.
Oh my god, that's insane. Yeah, I didn't know that.
I mean, the fact that when they don't seem to fucking just routinely set up direct debits for their bills and stuff, and they're all having to fucking, when they need the driving license, they've got to fucking go down to the DVLA and stay there all day while they wait in the queue to fucking get their driving license.
This is what I've said before. I thought.
Forms and websites. What the fuck?
Did you say does it cash the rent check? I thought that was a colloquialism. I didn't realise that was an actual thing. They had to go and cash their rent.
I was meaning about like the when you're watching TV, like as you're growing up, like this is what exactly the DVLA one's like a kind of example of that, where like you're noticing all these odd things that they have to do that over here you're just like, we don't do any of that. Like, what is this kind of odd? It's just weird, but right, just looking at it through TV, there's all these stuff that they seem to moan about. They all seem to know, well, there's so many jokes in like The Simpsons. I think that's where Marge's sisters work.
Yeah.
Is it the driving bit? And it's like these things they comment on all the time. This is really awkward. This is really shit, man. Our healthcare's terrible. God, I hate all these guns. Like they never do anything about any of it. Like we were watching The Simpsons. We talked about this when you guys got to the house. It was like Lauren and I have been rewatching The Simpsons from the beginning intermittently over the last maybe year, and it's so funny how like most of the jokes from the early ones before they started getting celebrity guests in, the commentary on America is identical. It's like nothing has actually really moved forward on the core items. Like everything they were moaning about in 1991.
It's more of a problem.
It's gotten worse, but it's like nothing's improved.
It makes sense why there would be broad support for this idea of a Department of Government Efficiency.
But there already is.
There's one, well, yeah, I know.
Isn't it?
But what's it's like? There are lots of things in them, like the bureaucracy, like needless bureaucracy.
Yeah,
that they could do something about.
Yeah,
I know. I'm just. I said
they're not just firing park rangers instead.
I'm going to do my usual, and I'm going to say something slightly controversial, but I'm going to explain it out. Which is that so yesterday we got a new car, and it's a second-hand car, but new to us. And the process of that is so much fucking simpler than it used to be, and it's actually because, for whatever reason, the one good thing that fucking weirdo George Osborne did was make the DVLA fucking put their shit online and sort all that shit out. Can you remember what pain in the arse it used to be having to fucking tax your car and go to the post office once a year and hand over like 300 fucking quid in one go, which automatically made it harder for poorer people to fucking do that shit, which made them less likely to be compliant with it, which made them more likely blah, 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 blah. All that thing. They dropped it off to my work. They came in. I fucking I fucking signed some paperwork for them. The woman did it there and then on her phone, transferred the ownership of the car. An email came through. I went online and fucking taxed it there and then. It was all done within 10 minutes.
Yeah, actually, I remember the reason why I know that is that I learned to drive, I think, the year that happened. I think because I didn't I think I had one tax disc. Like, because you used to have options to lay it on the car.
Because the fucking tax disc fell off the window because they would fucking provide some shitty fucking
I did. I had it for a couple of years.
And
that was it.
It fell off the fucking window and we got a fine because it was failure to display. It was not failure to be taxed. It was failure to display. And we fucking took photos and you could fucking see it on the dash, but they got a photo of the window and like from the front, so that it's like you could fucking see it, you fucking cunts. And we could avoid, we didn't need a fucking 60 quid fine for fuck all at the time. It wasn't even amble.
It was awful that we're having to credit George Osborne for that. But you're right though, but the simple ethos of like, right, actually we all agree that's really fucking annoying, we should fix that. And we did it,
my suspicion is that at some point he must have been fucking standing in a fucking post office queue behind a pensioner paying in 2 pence pieces and a junkie wanting their fucking trying to tax his Bentley and with fucking 400 quid in cash and going, this is not acceptable. It must be.
Now with past regulations just making it okay for your butler to do it for you so you didn't have to. You didn't think about how
well, you missed that's been part of the problem. America has been such a wealthy country for so long that they've not actually had to have efficiency improvements in any of their systems because especially the rich people, they just get someone else to do all that stuff for them.
But I mean, so it seems if I'm not mistaken, and perhaps this is like more historic and they have improved a little, but it does seem like they actually have to fucking go to cubicles and pay their bills the way my mum did in the fucking 80s. Is that still happening? You hear it, and this is one of the things I say you hear from Judge Judy is that like, well, I didn't make the payments on the loan. And it's like, if it was going out by direct debit, you would have just fucking made the pay. They've actually got to fucking sit down and write a check. There's a whole load of fucking administration to be done every fucking month just to pay your bills rather than it all just going out.
One good thing they do have in banking is drive-through ATMs. Because Americans just can't stand getting out of their car for any reason whatsoever.
Well, they've also made it impossible to walk anywhere. That was also quite a recent revelation because I've never been to America. I keep getting threatened with a work trip to New York and I really don't want to go because the whole country is bananas and I don't want to go there. But the fact that there are so few walkable cities, that like in the size of their fucking cars compared to the size of like a big car in Europe compared to a normal sized car in America, and it's like the bumpers at the exact height to decapitate a 9-year-old child. They're all really huge.
When Glasgow's getting used to film, as because it's the same sort of grid network as a lot of American cities, and they've got the American cars over here, you look at them and go, Jesus fucking Christ, the fucking size of that thing, it's a boat.
So big. There's just no need at all. But it's like the fact of, well, yeah, it'll be
Because it's obvious, doesn't it?
yeah. So again, everything's super size.
They're certainly wider. That's the thing for the car. Definitely wider.
The lack of walking facilities or the almost terminal rates of fucking obesity.
Oh, and all the policies that lead to high fructose corn syrup being heavily subsidised by the government. No walkable cities. The fact that like there are so many food deserts in otherwise like areas that should be thriving.
Yeah.
Suburbs leach all of the financial benefit out of cities, but the majority of the wealth that is generated is not by the people in the suburbs. They are the people in the suburbs living quite cushy lifestyles, thinking that inner city crime or the guys are all the problem. It's like they're all making the fucking money that you're leeching out of it. Because if you live in the suburbs, then money has to go to building and maintaining access to the suburbs from the city, building and maintaining like transport. There's just so much like wealth being filtered out. And these are all things that I just was completely, because we don't have, like, we wouldn't refer to areas in Glasgow as like suburbs. It's like just like completely, I was always, whenever I heard them talking about the suburbs, I'm like, that must just be an Americanism that refers to something that we also have that I just haven't quite figured out. And I'm just like, no, I think they just have a completely different fucking setup from us, where it's just like all completely designed with corporatism in mind to benefit people who own like car companies.
It's when you do sort of see footage of the suburbs and things like, you do realise that what you're talking about, the sort of food desert, like they haven't got corner shops in the suburbs, have they? They have in the city centres.
Corner churches, if you ever go to Texas, every corner is a church.
Jesus.
It doesn't have a shop, but
But does the church sell guns?
if you want,
There is a Beatfinder song called "Gun Sale at the Church." I believe that is actually quite a common thing, I would suggest, in Texas.
All the Bibles are just hollowed out empty, fucking full for since.
We're back to Michael Moore again, but do you mind in Bowling for Columbine, where there was the bank that was giving away a gun if you opened an account?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.